What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today we are doing the rest of the NFC's record predictions. Now, NFL season is back tomorrow. For those of you in my fantasy league, that fantasy draft is tonight at 7. So try to be there if you can, just to speed things up with the draft. But if you can, it's all good. If you're an auto draft kind of person, that's fine too. But let's just get right into the video. We'll start with the Washington football team. They play the Chargers at home to start off the year. I'll give that one to the Los Angeles Chargers. And then they play the Giants at home. I'll give that to Washington. Then they play at Buffalo. I'll give that to Buffalo. And let's skip to week 6, where they play the Chiefs at home. I'll give that to Kansas City. And then week 7 at Green Bay, I will be giving that to Green Bay. And then at Denver, I will say Washington wins that one. And then their bye week, and then week 10, week 11, now we're at week 12. I will give that one to Seattle, and then I'll give them the win against the Raiders. Then I'll say they beat Dallas and Philadelphia, but then lose to Dallas this time, then beat Philadelphia again. That's when all the NFC East play starts, and I'll say they sweep the Giants for the year. So that is 9-8 for the Washington football team. Might be good enough to be first in the NFC East, but we shall see how my predictions go. We'll go next to the Dallas Cowboys. Week 1 is already done. Week 2 at Los Angeles. I'll give that to Dallas. Then they play the Eagles at home. I'll also give that to Dallas. Skipping to week 5. Giants at home. Giving it to Dallas. At New England. Giving it to Dallas. Week 8 at Minnesota. I'll say they lose that one. And then come back to beat the Broncos at home. And then at Kansas City, I'll give it to Kansas City. And then I'll say the Raiders get them at home. And then skipping to week 15, I'll say they beat the Giants. Skipping to week 17, I'll say they lose to the Cardinals, but then beat the Eagles to finish 10-7, and most likely first in the division. Next, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. Skipping week 1, week 2, they play the 49ers at home. I'm going to give that to the 49ers. Then they play the Chiefs at home. I'm going to give that to the Chiefs. Then they play at the Raiders and at the Lions. I'll say they win both of those. And then they play the Chargers at home and then at the Broncos. I'll say they lose to the Chargers but then beat the Broncos. And then skip week 11, week 12, I'll say that the Giants get them, and then they beat the Jets. Skipping to week 16, I'll say they beat the Giants that go around. So the Eagles at 6-11, not much. Nope, nothing really improving with the Philadelphia Eagles in my opinion this year. But they could shock me, who knows. And finally, for the NFC East, we have the New York Giants. Week 1, Denver at home. This one's tough, but I'll say they win that one. And then skipping all the way to week 6, play the Rams at home. I'll give that to the Rams. Then to week 8 at Kansas City, be definitely giving it to the Chiefs. Then the Raiders at home, I'll say they win that. Then their bye week, skipping 11 and 12, on to 13 at Miami. I'll say Miami gets them. And then at LA, I'll say they win that. And then week 17 at the Bears. I'll say the Bears get them there. So 5-12 for the New York Giants this year. Moving on to our next conference, we'll go with the NFC West. for every team is currently 2-0 prior to my predictions. We'll start with the Rams. Alright. Week 1 for the Rams, the Bears at home. I'll say they win that, along with Week 2 at the Colts. Skipping to Week 4, Cardinals at home. I'll say they win that. And at Seattle, I'll say Seattle gets them there. And then the Lions at home, I'll say they win that. At Houston, I'll say they win that, but then lose to the Titans at home. And then at San Francisco, I'll say they lose that as well. Then their bye week, I'll say they lose to Green Bay, but then beat Jacksonville, and then beat Arizona, and then beat the Seahawks at home, and then beat Minnesota, lose to Baltimore, and beat San Francisco. So I have the Rams at a very impressive 12-5 for this year. Next, we have the Seattle Seahawks. Week 1 at Indianapolis, I'll say they win. And then the Titans at home, I'll give that to the Titans. And then at Minnesota and at San Francisco, I'll say they win both. Skipping to Week 6 at Pitt, I'll give that one to Pitt. Week 8, I'll say they beat the Jaguars. And then their bye, Week 10 at Green Bay, I'll say they steal it. Week 11, Cardinals at home, I'll give it to the Cardinals. And then I will say the 49ers get them this time. And then they'll beat Houston. And then they'll beat the Bears and the Lions. And then I'll say they they beat the Cardinals to finish 12-5 as well. And let's move on to our next team. Sorry for that interruption, my bad. Now our next team is the San Francisco 49ers at 4-2 so far. Week 1 at the Lions, I'll say they beat the Lions. Skipping to Week 3, they play the Green Bay at home. I'll say they win that. Week 5 at Arizona, I'll say Arizona gets them, then their bye week. Then the Colts at home and at the Bears, I'll say they take both of those. And then I'll say they beat the Cards at home. Skipping to Week 11 at Jacksonville, I'll say they win, as well as Minnesota at home and at the Bengals. I'll say they lose to the Titans, but then beat Houston. So I have them at 13-4 in first place of the NFC West. I'll finish it off with the Cardinals. Week 1, they play at Tennessee. I'll give it to the Titans. Then they play Minnesota at home, and then Jacksonville on the road. I'll give them 2 wins there. And then at Cleveland, I'll say they lose, but then beat Houston and Green Bay. And then Week 12 is their bye. Week 13, I'll say they beat Chicago. Week 15, I'll say they beat the Lions. And then Week 16, I'll give that one to the Colts. So Cardinals at 10-7, finishing last from the division, but in a really talented division. My final seeding for the West, 13-4 49ers, and then Rams and Seahawks at 12-5 in the 2nd and 3rd seed, and the Cardinals in the 4th seed at 10-7. And we will end with the NFC North, and I'll start with the Green Bay Packers. The Lions at home, I'll say they win that, as well as Pittsburgh at home, and as well as the Bengals and the Bears. And then I'll say they lose to Kansas City, but then beat Minnesota and the Bears again, but lose to Baltimore, beat Cleveland, beat Minnesota, and then beat the Lions. So I have Green Bay at 12-5 as well. Or not as well, but just have them at 12-5. Next, the Minnesota Vikings. I have them opening with a win against Cincinnati. And then skipping to week 4, I'll say they lose to Cleveland, but then beat Detroit. And then week 9, I'll say they lose to Baltimore, beat LA. I'll say Detroit gets them once, then lose to Pitt, lose to the Bears, but then beat the Bears. So I have them at 6-11. Next we have the Bears. I'll say they beat the Bengals. I'll say that they upset the Browns, beat the Lions, beat the Raiders, and then lose to Pitt, lose to the Ravens and beat the Lions. So I have the Bears at a solid 7-10 and could be contending for a wild card, depending on, of course, the division or the playoff seeding in the NFC. And we'll end with the Detroit Lions, already not looking that impressive with 12 games predicted in advance because of all the other teams. But I will go ahead and finish off the Lions. I'll say they lose to Baltimore, beat the Bengals, lose to Pitt, and then lose to the Browns. And then lose to the Broncos. So not a great year for the Lions at 2-15. I just don't see any productiveness from the Lions this year. So that was it for my the rest of my NFC record predictions. Tomorrow I will do the AFC, and just stay tuned for more NFL videos. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out, guys.